Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Leicester, and thank you for joining us for episode 128. Tonight, we'll be talking about Manchester United 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, giving you our match and player analysis of that fine win at Old Trafford. Take lots of your questions tonight and look ahead to next weekend's game against Leicester City. I've got two gentlemen joining me who were at Old Trafford. Special day for those guys. Both took their lads. Fantastic day. Noki took his dad as well. They'll be talking us through the game. And also, thank you for joining us, whether you're watching on X, YouTube, Twitter. Drop us a follow, drop us a like. And then obviously we'll get this uploaded to Spotify as well. Let's get down to business. Noki, Manchester United 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Your take?
I think you break into two elements, really, don't you? I think that the performance was probably the worst performance of the 5 games that we've won. We seemed a little bit erratic at times, and we had a lot of our kind of top players, as you call them, didn't really perform at the level we need them to. I thought Agbadu was a little bit off it. Larsson was a little bit off it. But I don't mind it because we found a way to win when we weren't playing particularly well. We were disciplined. We were organised. We didn't carry kind of any threat whatsoever really in the first half. It was a case of just keeping them at bay without them really putting us under too much pressure themselves. We just did the basics, I think. We missed Bellegarde for me. I think it made a bit of an impact not having him in the team, and I don't think Cunha. I don't think it worked for some reason. I don't really know why. Manetsi seemed a little bit too far away from Larsson. Larsson, it felt like he just wasn't deep enough. He seemed to be sat kind of on the halfway line a lot of the game, and he's not really got the pace to affect it from that. But I couldn't care less because we've whipped a fabulous free kick into the top corner and we've gone and won the game. And if you can win a game when you're not at your best, then you're doing something right, aren't you? And regardless of the form Man United are in or anything else, they're still a massive club. And, to be there with my lad and my dad and to celebrate that goal, 76, 77 minutes, whatever it was, to watch that whip into the top corner and watch my 10-year-old lad going absolutely ballistic was a memory that's going to live with me. So it was an incredible day. The performance wasn't the best, but I really couldn't care less because of what we've got out the day. And it was a phenomenal achievement to get a double against them. And I went down with Tyler and his lad, and it was we had some very dodgy rolls on the way down, courtesy of my dad and his inability to read. He ended up giving Tyler a corned beef and mayo cob, which he ate because he's a bit of an animal, but I don't think it went down particularly well. But it was just a great day all round. The performance was a little bit boring, but we've gone there and we've won it. And to double Man United, I don't care what version of Man United you're up against there. When I was younger, they were the biggest team in the country. They're arguably still the biggest club in the world now. And, to go there and to double them, it was a phenomenal experience. And I'm delighted to be there.
Just before we jump in with Tyler, good evening to Noki's dog on the show as usual. Always a keen extra on the Wolves Report. It is nice though, isn't it, Tyler, to double Man United? Now, younger fans won't really have seen this version, but we all grew up. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you guys, but we saw Man United as we were growing up, winning everything. A couple of European Cups, Premier Leagues, FA Cups, League Cups, relentless, multiple, and that was the team to beat. And I remember going to Old Trafford with you a couple of years ago and winning. I thought that was the first time, and that's the first time in my life I'd seen Wolves win there, and it was amazing. So to do it again yesterday, regardless, it always feels a bit special winning at a club that you've grown up against, thinking one day we're going to get to be better than these. And at the moment, we probably are.
Well, yeah, it doesn't really make sense, does it, to be honest, history-wise. We also went there years ago when we made the 11 changes, and we've obviously come...
Was that your birthday as well?
Might have been. We've come a long way since then, haven't we? My birthday was good last year because it was the day O'Neill got sacked. So if you're talking about good birthdays, this was the best one. But yeah, like Noki says, you still go there, and it's still Old Trafford, it's still Man United, and our kids probably don't see them the same as we did. But obviously when we were kids, yeah, they won everything every single year, didn't they? So it is nice to go there. And, there's some interesting stats, isn't there, about Pereira and Almiron and how long each have been there and the difference in job that they've done. And at the moment, it looks like we've got the better deal, doesn't it? But who knows long term what might happen with them and with us. But, like Noki says, we just got to enjoy the moment, haven't we now? I mean, 5 wins on the spin with Leicester at home. I mean, it would be typical Wolves to lose that one, wouldn't it, next weekend? But, who knows, if without looking too far ahead, if you beat Leicester, you've got to 41 points, which I always think is a minimum that you want to achieve to get above 40, just, for a respect reason, if nothing else. But, we could be knocking on 13th, 14th, which start the season, we were sort of suggesting that's where we may well finish, if we have a half-decent season. So it's funny how it changes, isn't it, over time? But the run's been incredible. The performance was forgettable. But the free kick, it's one of them. Like Nocky's dad on the way home said, you remember it forever. And they're the sort of goals that you do. You don't forget those moments and those finishes. And I'm pleased for Sarabia because he's a bit Marmite, isn't he? People love him or hate him. I've always been in the love him camp because I'm a bit of a purist and I like technical footballers. And I don't think anyone else in our side could have done that, could they, really, yesterday? So I'm pleased for him. Good cameo at Ipswich, good cameo yesterday. He's showing the right attitude. And I'm sure he'll probably get the move he wants in the summer, probably.
Yeah, it was... Tyler, what was also really pleasing to me is the amount of times we've seen Wolves in the top flight. In all 3 of the times, we've seen sides who we perceived as better than us come to Molineux, not play well, but find a way to win. And Wolves did that yesterday. They looked like an established team. They couldn't find the rhythm, but they didn't panic. They kept their shape, their discipline. And Wolves, I don't think Bentley made a proper save. I think he tipped one over the bar. But regardless of Man United making changes, it's still a £450 million players they picked from. So, they're not done too bad. So to restrict them like that, granted it wasn't great and they had a couple of half chances, but to still come away from Old Trafford with probably arguably one of our poorest footballing performances on the ball in a long time, to go there and win is credit to the team for sticking at it and taking that one proper opportunity.
Yeah, I think as a bare minimum now, you're going into Wolves games thinking we're going to be set up. We're going to be set up well. We're going to be hard to break down and we're going to be hard to beat. And that seems the bare minimum now. And I think the big challenge now is how does Pereira build on that for next season? I think if we're honest, there haven't been great performances, have they? We've picked up wins and we've got results. Brilliant. Ipswich away, Southampton away, United away. Not brilliant, really. So it's how can we now sort of build on that foundation? We've got that platform of being hard to beat, hard to play against. Can we add a bit more swaz in the team, for want of a better phrase, next season? But, that's a long way off, isn't it? And to answer your question, we just look solid. You're going into a game now thinking we've got a chance, whereas I think pre-Christmas we were basically expecting to get our backsides handed to us every week, weren't we? And that's the biggest thing for me is how he's got us drilled, organised, solid, tough to play against.
Nocky, just jumping in a bit more what Tyler said in terms of how we're set up. We look such a well-drilled, well-organised, marshalled team. Now, some people might say it's quite boring, but I love the fact now that we're frustrating teams to the point you've got teams then just bumping it into the box because that's their only way to get into our area. You've got 2 absolute Brazilian warriors. You've got Agbadu marshalling things. Credit to Santiago Bueno. You didn't know Matt Doherty wasn't there yesterday. Totti, who was excellent. The foundation of that team. I mean, the third choice keeper's come in. Good luck to him. He's got a clean sheet at Old Trafford, but he was hardly tested. So credit to that foundation. Wolves look like they'll be in any game at the moment.
But how many times did we say under the last sort of 20-odd games under O'Neill that we just need to get back to basics? We need to be hard to beat. We need to stop the flow of stupid goals that we're conceding and the amount of set pieces that we're conceding. All right, we're still conceding the odd one here and there, but we look so much better from set pieces and wide positions now. I mean, United fired loads of balls into our box yesterday, but we dealt with all of them. We dealt with them well. So I think when you look at Pereira, I don't think he's reinvented the wheel. I think he's just taken us back to basics, organised us, put everyone in the right position, realised that Andre is an absolutely fabulous footballer with a bright future ahead of him, stuck him in there with Gomes, and those two yesterday were absolutely incredible. The performance from them two, they were awesome. we've just got things right. With the shape's relatively the same as it was. He's brought in Manetsi, who I think he's always going to split opinion while he's at Wolves, but whatever he does affects us and makes us better. So he's brought in a couple of players, your Agbadoos, who've clearly made us better and improved the team and the squad. But we just got back to basics. We've stopped doing the stupid stuff and even taking the pressure off people like Jose Sarro, doesn't like the ball at his feet. He's quite happy now if he just launches it up the other end of the pitch rather than trying to play it out.
No need to overplay.
No need to overplay it. We brought in Dan Bentley yesterday and we protected him really well. And Santiago Bueno, how many times have we had the conversation that he's not quite good enough for this level? He was brilliant yesterday. I don't think he put a foot wrong. So he's put confidence in the players and he stopped telling the players they're not good enough and he stopped saying that we can't go very far with this squad, which is what your previous manager's telling you. And if they're young players, aren't they? And they're young men as well. And you're telling people that at that age that you're not good enough and you're not good enough to be in this division. It's gonna sit with them. Pereira's put a little bit of confidence in. He's put a bit of belief. He's linked the fans. You're going to do that if you win your football matches. But rocking up at a Wetherspoons is going to help as well. Everything just seems united now. Everyone seems to be on the same page. And you touched on it then, and we spoke about it on the way to United yesterday, that it's lovely to go to a game that we may well lose, but you believe we can get something out of it rather than turning up every week and just expecting to get beat.
Yeah, that's not something we felt like since Nuno. That's a very...
No, absolutely.
When about halfway through the first season in the Premier League, Wolves were in every single game. You just believe there's that vibe going on now. And Tyler, Wolves have got that vibe now, haven't they? It's not obviously not quite that Nuno era yet, but the way this guy's going and's got us set up, Wolves are hard to beat and to organise. And as Noki said, everyone seems on board. The fans, the players, the squad, the third choice keepers come in and been faultless. Santiago Bueno, who we think might be leaving in the summer, come in and be faultless. He's got buy-in from the squad, the 11 and the fans.
Yeah, I think Noki's hit the nail on the head there. Is just give every player belief and giving them a role and giving them a purpose. It's so nice, isn't it, to be united? We keep saying the word united, and we don't mean to do it after yesterday. But that's how it feels. It feels that everybody's on the same page again. Players, fans, manager. The only one that we've got to check is on the same page as the guys upstairs, haven't we? So let's see how the summer pans out. But it's just refreshing. I mean, us guys speak every day, don't we? We talk all the time, and we were saying how tough the start of the season was, and it's just not the same, is it? But you're just happier again, aren't you? Your life's just better. You can put up with your kids and misses a bit easier when Wolves are winning. And, yesterday, it doesn't come around all the time, does it? And that's why you do have to make the most of it. And it might be a bit small time, but we don't often get results and moments like that, do we, as Wolves fans? So let's enjoy it while we can. Let's hope things carry on over the summer. We back him. He wants to stay. We give him what he needs, and then we can start building again. And who knows? 4 miles. I think, what are we, 7th or something since he started? If the points he'd had, if he'd have been here all season, we'd be like sort of knocking Europe. I think we're second.
I think we'd be in 7th. If the season started when he started, Wolves have been 7th.
I didn't articulate that very well, so thanks for doing that. But reasons to be positive, isn't it? And let's hopefully, as we've said before in the last couple of weeks, start looking up rather than looking, back down.
For anyone questioning Tyler's family arrangements, his wife and his children are very lovely. For anyone gets mad at Tyler, that's just his dark sense of humour. A little bit of breaking news earlier in the evening. The message out there says it. West Brom have parted company with their manager. Tom, thank you for sharing that with us. I won't read the message out, but for those who are on Spotify, you can imagine what it says. But Tom, thank you for being part of the show. As always, I really appreciate your comments. This is one of the reasons why we do this show live. We get interaction from you guys. Got lots of regulars coming on. Get the funny stuff up there. Keep it going. Insults, facts, numbers. We love it all. So yeah, we try and do the show live every time that we can. We're here for it. So I hope you are enjoying episode 128 of the Wolves Report with Chris Tyler, Mark Nock, and myself, Ryan Leicester. There's not really a lot to talk about in the game because it was a pretty dull affair, but I do think we need to give a bit of credit, and as I did on the tweet, to Santiago. I know we wouldn't talk about him individually, but as mentioned, the way he just came in almost seamlessly from a reborn Matt Doherty that we thought that we called on here. It was an experiment, but now he's someone that deserves to be in the team. To have someone else come in like that is absolutely fantastic. Let's talk about the goal. Noki, obviously, Not unmute yourself, mate. Matthias Cunha, if you can, are you still on mute? I don't know if you sent me a message or you can't. Oh no, what's happening?
No, it's all right, mate.
Oh no, I thought we lost him. See, Nocky's dog and his kids all want to be on the podcast, and we've not let them, so they're just shouting in the background anyway. But that's fine. So Matthias Cunha went on a fantastic run, as he does. He's very good in that area of the pitch. And what a free kick! How do you put that into words, Nocky? It's just, I mean, like you talked about memories, but the talent to put a goal away like that is absolutely remarkable.
And you know, I fancied it as well, which is absolutely.
You said that to me at Villa Park, mate.
It was the same feeling, and I'm pretty sure that's the last time we scored direct from a free kick.
It is, yeah.
Was at Villa Park, and it was an atrocious free kick. It was going
out wonderful, though, mate. One of the best moments of my life.
But you know, and I think you've got to give a mention to Sarabia as well. I know Tyler touched on it, but Tyler's loved him since day one. I've never questioned his ability. I've always thought that he's the right player at the wrong club because of the way that we play. If you put him in a team where he's got time and he's got space, he can really affect you. But he's hardly had any game time this season, but he hasn't thrown his toys out the pram. He hasn't got frustrated. He's just got his head down, and he's just been there when we needed him. And he's made massive impacts. You know, you look at him against Villa, he come on and he was brilliant in that game. He gets a goal and assist against Ipswich. He's affected games when he's come on, and I think you've got to give him credit for that, especially when you look at the behaviour of maybe a Goncalo Guedes and players like that have got frustrated. But the free kick itself, it's absolutely stunning. It's inch perfect. And I know that there's a bit of not an agenda against Onana, but I think we're always looking to find a reason why it's his fault. There's no goalkeeper on earth that stops that. It is incredible. It's got whip, it's got bend, it's dipping, it's perfectly above the wall.
Good pace on it as well. It wasn't a chip over. He's whipped it in.
It was nice to see Cunha not take a set piece as well, because he seems to want to take everything. But to see him just smash that with his left foot, it was the perfect position. And the ref done him a favour as well, because I reckon it was about 5 feet closer to the penalty area, and he's moved him back. And that's just giving him a luff to get it up and over the wall and down into the top corner. And as soon as it hit the net, my son just didn't move. For about 2 seconds, he just didn't move. He was stunned, because it's the first time he's seen a free kick going live. And then the whole stadium the whole Wolves end has just erupted, and there's arms and legs and shoes and all sorts flying around the place. It was just an absolutely incredible moment. But you cannot hit a free kick better than that. If you were going to do a textbook example of a free kick, that's it. 3-yard run up, whip, bend, accuracy, wallop in the top corner. And Onana is a decent shot stopper. He has his moments, I know, but no, he's got no chance of stopping that. It was an incredible moment.
Yeah, Tyler, I mean, I'm not sure how much more we can wring out of that goal from what Nocky said there, but the emotions, the skill, it's a moment worthy of winning any football match anywhere.
Yeah. The game was dreadful. I think I texted him literally just before the free kick saying this is one of the worst games of football I've ever seen. And then, Nocky summed it up perfectly. It's one of those, the split second it's left his foot, you just know it's in. You can just tell sometimes, can't you? You just knew it. And on with Nocky, the wall was in the right place, the keeper was in the right place. It just had pace, whip, bend. It had everything on it. It is textbook. Yeah, Nocky's right. It's a perfect free kick, and just brilliant. And we don't score many like that, do we? Let's be honest. We don't score many. I mean, even the Nevers one was a hash of a free kick, wasn't it? And I think before that, you're going back to Martino, aren't you? You know. Happens very rarely, but just perfect time in the game. We managed it so well after the goal, I think, and we kept them quiet. And just topped off a great day, really. And I've been not nice for him to get a bit of credit in his moment in the sun, really.
Absolutely.
It meant so little in the context of the season in reality, but it meant so much at the same time. And I don't know about you, but I'm 43 years old. I was scrolling through YouTube and through TikTok just to try and find different angles of the goal from, the supporters in the ground, just to see different angles of it, because it was such a special moment. And it's just football's so important. I just don't think people understand. If you don't follow football, you don't get those moments. You don't have that explosive ecstasy when the ball hits the net like that, and when you go to Old Trafford and you win, and to see that bend into the top corner the way it did, it was just an incredible moment in the context of the season. We may still finish 17th. It may mean very little, but for your memory, for my lad and Tyler's lad, when they're 25 years from now, when they're going to the football with their kids, they can talk about when they went with a car full of mates and they watched, a player who didn't get a lot of football at Wolves whip one into the top corner like that and win at Old Trafford. It's just a fantastic moment, and it's one that you've got to appreciate and you've got to enjoy. And we've deserved that as well for some of the stuff we've been through this season, some of the defeats and the hammerings. And, you'd think of players like Madueke and Morgan Gibbs-White scoring and all that. And it's just, just to experience that and to be in that moment the way we were, it was brilliant. I'll never forget it.
Absolutely. And on the subject there, you take me nicely into it. A watcher of the show, Giuseppe, kindly shared the goal with us. So for those who are on Spotify, you're only going to hear the sound effects, but for the rest of you, enjoy this video from me. Beautiful.
Did you not get that in HD, son, or not?
Film that on a potato, didn't it?
Another long 1998, Tim Steele was taking it, wasn't he?
Unfortunately, the quality that I'm allowed to upload on the podcast, I mean, if you guys want to help me with it, but unfortunately, that's the highest level I can upload videos. But you got the picture anyway, and I'm sure everyone's seen the goal anyway. I hope you enjoyed it. Those on Spotify, I hope it sounded nice. You are listening and watching episode 128 of the Wolves Report with Chris Tyler, Mark Knock, and myself, Ryan Leicester. Really interesting point that someone messaged. Let's try and go back to it. Was the absence of Bellegarde. Now, if we'd have said a couple of months ago, Bellegarde's someone that we would miss in the future, most of the fan base would have disagreed. But I think it has to be said, guys. I know Wolves won, but I really think we missed John Rickner yesterday.
I think we have different views, and Nocky's certainly more aligned to your thinking, I think. But my counter argument to that is, like I've said all along, you've got to have players or a squad that is capable of playing the same way and being capable. And if we start to panic because we're missing Jean-Luc Bellegarde, then we need to make sure that doesn't happen going into next season. I just think that the team lacked intensity. And maybe part of that was because Bellegarde wasn't playing. He brings that energy, doesn't he? He brings that work rate. But I think it was more of a intensity mindset type thing yesterday, rather than missing an individual player. I mean, he's done brilliant while he's been away, but I'd like to think players like that we can adequately replace and not see a drop-off in performance. But that's just my opinion.
Nocky, I think... I've liked Jean Rickner. Like I know Tyler's back Sarabia. I back Jean Rickner. He's just somebody that's since that Villa game he played in centre midfield, he's become a completely new footballer. He's consistently been one of Wolves' best players since that game. What he does when he comes into that sort of narrow 10 right hand side, he picks up the ball and goes forward with it. And he gets us to travel up the pitch. He always takes the 5 or the 10 yards. And I know it's strange to say that we're having Cunha in the side. I just think on the right-hand side, we really, really missed him. And Tyler's right, you shouldn't be panicking about losing any player. But I thought he was a massive miss. And Wolves just didn't seem to have that intensity without him in the side.
Yeah, Chris is absolutely right. But the reality is we are reliant on those players at the moment because although we've got a squad, you can't rely on all of them, can you? And when you do lose him out of there, you do lose that little bit of... It is all about the intensity. You lose some intensity, and we've got 2 very, very good midfielders who will break up attacks and they will bring us forward. But Bellegarde just seems to link it all together really well, and he seems to bounce off Manetsi well and Strand Larsson well. And no, I do think we missed him, but I also think at the same time it kind of coincided with others having a little bit of an off day. So collectively, we weren't as good as we have been, and if everyone else is up to speed, maybe we don't miss Bellegarde the way we did. But I think he's been reborn, and I agree. Since the Villa game, since he slapped that one in the net, he seemed a different player. He seems to really he seems confident. He feels like he's got a manager who believes in him, and he's in the squad regularly, and he's in the team regularly. So he's got a bit of belief about him, and he's definitely impacting games for us. And I do feel like we missed him yesterday. I think he just brings energy when we've got him and Gomes and Andre in relatively close proximity. You've just got so much energy in that area.
Strength and good engines everywhere, yeah.
We don't get overrun in midfield, do we? No midfield seems to dominate us. Even if we lose the football match, we're not getting dominated in that area. And that's because you've got players like a Marshall Manetsi who'll drop in or like a Bellegarde who'll drop in. And they just give you a little bit more stability to bounce off those 2 Brazilian wonder kids in midfield. So it's a nice balance. And I think when you upset that balance a little bit by losing a Bellegarde, you do pay a bit of a price for it. But Chris is right. Going forward, we need to have a squad that's replacing quality with quality. And if we can get to that, then, we've got a chance.
Tyler, before we move on to going through the team, I know we've all criticised and people would have seen with their own eyes what the game looked like. It was a pretty bland game. Now, you could say we were due a poorer performance, but is a factor that Man United and Wolves play pretty much exactly the same formation a reason for that? Because there was multiple players and positions and runs just cancelling each other out. Therefore, it was always going to be a game of very little action.
Yeah, it is two similar styles, isn't it? And similar personnel as well in some areas of the pitch. I think they shaded it. I think they looked a bit better than us. I think they were a bit neater and tidier, and they certainly had more of the half chances than we did. But like Mark says, who cares? That the team's that well drilled now that I think it was 3-4-3 on 3-4-3, give or take, obviously a bit of tweaking, and the teams just cancelled themselves out, didn't they? And it just wasn't great. It was almost like a testimonial, wasn't it? Pre-season friendly for the first half. It had that sort of feel to it, but like we've touched upon, the intensity wasn't there, and that it has been. But then, like I said, I don't think we've necessarily been brilliant in some of the other games we've won recently, but who knows, when we do start playing well and it does all tick where we can go. But yeah, just a good solid day at the office, all things told.
Just going to bring a couple of comments in before we go through the team. Jonty says, previous manager thought tiki-taka meant identity. That's a really good point. Fake news. I actually think now Wolves have got more an identity than they ever had. And it's more of an identity without the ball. We know our shape. We know what we're going to do. They get into position. They work together. I think Wolves have got an identity now. And when they bring the ball out the back, you can see the plan. You know what's going to happen. And I'm here for it. That's a great point, Jonty. Thank you for being part of the show. One other comment from Chris. Fabrizio now reporting negotiations are ongoing between Man United and Cunha. Thoughts? It wouldn't surprise me. He was doing some weird stuff yesterday, rubbing the grass on his legs. I don't really understand what was going on there. However, he got the assist because he won the free kick for the goal. Good for him. Scored last week. Good for him as well. The best thing for Matheus Cunha and Wolverhampton Wanderers is the day the transfer window opens is for him to be sold. Then we don't have any potential sulking during pre-season. Wolves have got their lump of money to spend and hopefully back Vitor fully for that. He gets his big move to whatever to win trophies at Man United. Good luck with that, or whatever he wants to do. He's a Wolves player for now. I'll back him. I want him to do well because I want Wolves to do well. But he's only going to be a Wolves player for another couple of games. So my thoughts are the sooner he goes in the window, the better. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, we know he's going. There's no doubt he's going. So if it's to Man United, it's to Man United. Is it a good move for him? I guess he's going to play every week. He's going to probably be the main man. There's a big rebuild job there, isn't there? So I would have thought he maybe have aimed a little bit higher than that, maybe a team in the Champions League. But if that's where he wants to go, then fine. But on with you, get it done as quick as we can. If we can get it all negotiated now, and then as soon as the season's over, get him moved on, get that money in the bank and start spending it, then I've got no issue with it. As long as he comes in and gives 100% for my football club while he's here, then I don't really care what he does after that. I've got no problem with him wanting to leave. As we said on last week's podcast, the reality is every player is going to want to leave at some point, aren't they? They're going to want to test themselves at a higher level if they're capable of doing that. There's just a way to do it, and I don't like the way he's done it. But the reality is he's a top draw player. He's good enough to be playing at a much higher level than Wolverhampton Wanderers. So as long as he gives us 100% between now and the end of the season, good luck to him.
Good stuff. Noki. Tyler?
Yeah, full house. You've both said everything I would think, yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Chris, not Tyler, but Chris, thank you for being part of the show. Let's go through the team. Noki, we'll start off nice and easy with you. Bentley, tip one over the bar, but he's gone to Old Trafford. Don't think he's had anything to do. I thought his distribution was okay. I can't really think of anything he had to do, and that probably speaks more for the game and how the team set up, really. So one tip over the bar, clean sheet at Old Trafford, 7 out of 10.
I'm going to give him 10 out of 10. My first ever 10 out of 10, simply because he woke up that morning with no intention of going and playing at Old Trafford. And he's turned up. He's come into the team. he's not had a great deal to do, has he? But what he's done well. His distribution was so much better than Sarr's. I don't think he's a better goalkeeper than Sarr for a minute, but his distribution was so much better. There was 3 or 4 times he got us up the pitch with intelligent passes, but he did everything he was there to do. Wasn't hugely tested. He's quite nice, actually. I feel like he's quite a big personality in that dressing room. I feel like he impacts things, and
he talked well after the game as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he sits there. He doesn't bother anyone. He doesn't cause us a problem in terms of he wants to get more football. He knows he was 3rd string at one point, maybe even 4th string, nudging behind King at one point as well. And he's come in a game like that at Old Trafford, which you've got 75,000 people looking at you. I don't think he's played any Premier League football for us this season until then. I may be wrong, but he's gone and he's got a clean sheet at Old Trafford. And I'm delighted for him because he's deserved that with what he's put in since he's been here and how hard he's worked. So, yeah, well done to him. It's a good achievement for him. It's a clean sheet. How can you criticise him?
Very, very good professional and a good guy to have around. So, yeah, no objection to him being around things. Tyler, you can go across the back 3. I'll start you off with Agbadou. I would probably say this was an off day for Agbadou. And that sounds a bizarre thing to say, keeping a clean sheet. But from the ridiculously high standards he set himself, I thought that was a pretty average performance from our superhero at the back.
Yeah, I think I said last week, I think he finds it a bit easy, and that's going to be a challenge for him, that he has to be 100% focused all of the time, because this league can catch you out, can't it? And I thought it was a bit casual yesterday. I thought it was sloppy. I thought Højlund got the better of him a lot more times than I was expecting, to be honest, in those tussles and those battles. There was the
caused
one
him trouble, didn't it? Caused him real problems.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting that at all. And there was the one where he got away with a nice flick, but throughout the first half, he seemed to win a lot of the headers. He seemed to give him a real torrid time. So it's a fair play to Højlund for doing that. But that's where he's got to be careful, because I think, like I said, he finds it a bit easy sometimes, and he needs to maintain his standards. I thought it was roles reversed. I thought his mate Totti got him out of trouble a couple of times yesterday, but it's been the other way around in previous weeks. I thought Totti was superb. He had a bit of a dodgy start. First 5-10 minutes, he sort of shanked one into our box and sort of gave the ball away. But he grew into the game, and the tackle on Højlund was superb. And like you said, Ryan, there's a bit of pace there now, so there's cover. There's
get each other out of trouble. Yeah, absolutely.
And Santi as well. He's in that sort of Bentley, Sarabia camp where, fair play to him, he's been in and out the side, he's been dropped, he's looked a bit iffy on occasion, certainly in the FA Cup.
I think his last game he was hooked at Blackburn, wasn't he? And his last start, that was not his last game, and he did not look good at Blackburn.
No, and he came in yesterday and was sound. I think I do prefer Doherty there, because I think Doherty links up well with Semedo. Maybe that's why Semedo, I thought, had a bit of an off game yesterday, but I would always play Doherty if he was fit and available. But he came in, kept a clean sheet. We're sort of criticising sort of some of the back 3, and they've kept a clean sheet at Old Trafford, which even now, when they're not the best team in the world, not too many teams go and do. So good, solid, well organised, but they'll all have better games, I think. But Totti was the one that probably, if it wasn't for Gomes and Andre again, I think Totti's probably up there for man of the match yesterday.
Excellent stuff. Tyler, moving into the midfield pair.
Noki can have the midfield pair. I've just done the back 3.
That's what I meant. Yeah, did I not say Noki? Did I say Tyler then?
I said Tyler.
Oh man,
I won't get offended.
Literally, one week I'm thinking about Agbadou, the next week I'm thinking about Tyler. I just cannot help myself. Noki, onto the midfield pairing of Joe Gomes and Andre. Again, I don't think they were great, but the job they did to restrict Man United, which is mainly the biggest part of their job, they were still very good.
I don't really know what to say, because the
levels shit for a podcast, son.
I know it's terrible, isn't it? The levels are so high. And I know you said they didn't have a great game, but I thought they were solid.
I outstanding.
Yeah, I did. I don't.
No, in terms of opening things up on the ball, because the ball just kept coming back to them, didn't it? But in terms of their defensive job, protecting the defence, they were outstanding. I just thought going forwards, nothing happened across the team.
Yeah, I don't think they were particularly to blame for that. I think they're kind of the pivot, aren't they? They try and keep us safe, and they try and protect that area and keep us in a good position. But I thought they were outstanding. That United changed things around to try and get a bit of change out of him. Had no good. They brought on Bruno Fernandes. He may as well have come on with his flip flops and and suntan lotion because he was useless. They'd absolutely pocketed him. I thought they were outstanding. And there was a moment when Andre, he looked like he was in trouble in his own area. I think it was Andre, and he did like
He did
two
a double drag
pirouettes
back.
and
Yeah.
one of. And with Wolverhampton Wanderers, you don't do that. You wallop it downfield and hope for the best. But it was just they're so cultured and they're so controlled in what they do. And I thought they were outstanding. I thought they were the two best players on the pitch. With the way that they control things and the way that they move. And I'm a huge João Gomes fan. I think he's going right to the top. But I've been kind of watching Andre a little bit closer, and he's so good. And the way he moves across the surface, the way that he anticipates, and he knows where the mistakes are going to happen, and he gets himself into a defensive shape really quickly. He's brilliant. I've not got anything negative to say about either of them. They keep going, they keep running. And there was a great video Wolves put out after the Spurs game where I can't remember if it was Gomes or someone put Andre away down the right in about the 89th minute, and he was absolutely blowing, and he just had to stop in the end. And Vitor's laughing at him because he puts that much into the game. He runs himself into the ground. A great player. He's fantastic to watch. I thought they were both brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I maybe didn't articulate myself well when I said that, but I thought the whole team, no one created anything going forwards. But in terms of that job in controlling that area and protecting the defence, they were outstanding. And again, this may not be for everybody, but I love the way late in the game those boys celebrate winning the tackles. I love it. I just think it pumps the fan base up, the bench goes up, the away end goes up, and it motivates everybody. I'm a really big fan of that. I know you don't like it, Tyler, but I like it. I watched Newcastle do it with obviously Bruno and Joe Linton. I've fallen into it. I like it. And I want them celebrating more.
What would Roy Keane say?
Roy Keane's not on the podcast. We've got Nocky, mate. Roy Keane stepped aside.
Goalkeeper makes a save and the fist pumping it. That's what
Here we go. He's turned into Roy Keane.
It's one of them stupid modern football things that I just can't be getting my head around. Defensive midfielder makes a tackle and celebrates, not for me.
You want them to want it though, don't you? You want to feel that bit of passion and that bit of them, even if it's a bit of Hollywood.
And I know this isn't us guys, but when Newcastle at St James's Park, and one of those players decks someone, it goes out for a throw, and then they're pumping, the crowd goes nuts, and I am all for that. I want that at Molineux. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what Tyler Keane says. I want that at Molineux, and I love it. But anyway, we won. Who cares? Going on to the Wingbacks, Tyler, in the form of Nelson Semedo and Ryan Ait-Nouri.
I thought Semedo was very poor, actually. His worst game for a while. I'd like to think it wasn't because Matt Doherty wasn't playing, because again, that would be a bit of a concern, a bit like the Bellegarde injury, but he was just off it, wasn't he?
He wasn't quite his usual.
Yeah, it wasn't. Again, he was sharp and quick.
He set his standard so high now that you notice when he drops.
So I thought he was poor. Ait-Nouri again. Forgettable performance, wasn't it?
I don't really know what. I mean, obviously he's got lovely feet, but I don't really know what he did yesterday.
He kept going, didn't he? And second half, he had a couple of runs into their final third. And again, they're both wing backs in a team that have kept a clean sheet at Old Trafford. So tough to be too critical. But yeah, it was probably as average as they've both been for a while. But, no one's going to play well every week, are they? So if you're going to do it on a day like that where you go and get 3 points from a wonder goal.
I think it's fair to say, guys, of the outfield back seven players, we can't really remember any of them doing anything exciting because nothing happened. But defensively, they were all really, really good. In terms of stopping Man United, they did that very, very well, but there was just a little going the other way. On to the, I'm just going to call them number 10s, Tyler. But in terms of Mateus Cunha and Marshall Manetsi.
Who's taken them?
You said Tyler again then, son. Is it Tyler? Have you got something going? You got something going on? I should be aware of.
I want to do this, mate. I want you. I've got some other stuff lined up for you.
Manetsi will take 10 seconds, only because let's be honest, nobody had any idea what he was trying to do or where he was playing yesterday. And Cunha got the assist, but didn't do much else really. It's just one of those games. We didn't have anything going forward. It just didn't work, did it? And like we said, I think last week, we can't really. I don't think we can go into next season with sort of Manetsi and Bellegarde as your two number 10s. Something there has got to change. I think it's working at the moment. We're getting results, but I don't see Manetsi in that position as a long-term solution. I'll let Nocky talk about Strand Larsson, Ryan, if you let him. Or
No, but I want to talk more about Manetsi.
Crikey, you better die.
Marshall Manetsi has played almost every minute of every game in our best run of football since 1970. I still don't know what he does. I'm not really sure what position he plays, but for whatever reason, it works. And I know we're saying he probably shouldn't be a starter next season. Is that a little bit disrespectful because of the run that we're on?
It's really hard. It's really hard, isn't it? Because I can't remember him touching the ball. I know he did touch the ball, but I can't remember.
He didn't.
But when you look at like an Andre or a Gomes, you know what they've done. Or if you look at even though Sarabia and Sameda didn't have great games, you know what they've done. I don't know what Manetsi does, but whatever he does, he's working because he's playing 90 minutes every time he's on the pitch, and he's been part of 5 straight wins. It makes absolutely no sense to me. He seems to make players around him better just by being there. He's one of the strangest players I think I've ever seen at Wolves, but he's almost become pivotal without actually touching the ball, and it's a real strange situation. I've seen some people say, should he be there next season? Should he be our number 10? How can he not be in that team if it's working and if we're being so effective? And I know he's been good for Strand Larsson, and that's something that Vitor said himself. He's allowed him to get closer to him, and it's created a bit more space for Strand Larsson. So he's definitely affected him. Whether it works with Strand Larsson, because we were at our best really when we didn't have Cunha. I'm not saying Cunha's not our best player because he clearly is, but it seemed to work with Manetsi closer to Strand Larsson and then Bellegarde in that area. It seemed to create a little bit more space for us. When we've got Manetsi and Cunha and we're trying to feed into Strand Larsson, it doesn't seem to be quite as effective. But whatever Manetzi's doing, he's working. So I can't explain him. I don't remember him touching the ball. I don't remember him doing anything in the entire game. But you don't win 6 in a row if you're carrying a player, do you? So whatever he's doing, he's being really effective.
Yeah, it's just because moving into Strand Larsson, Nocky, I think it's clear that Strand Larsson plays better without Cunha because obviously he's the main man then, and his goal record without Cunha in the team speaks volumes, and that's not a coincidence because he's the main man. With Marshall Manetsi, who played on the left of Strand Larsson, he opened him up. And with Cunha there, you just didn't get the same version of Strand Larsson. That's not Cunha's fault, by the way. I'm not digging him out on that. But it just didn't work. And Strand Larsson, for me, from looking like scoring goals, and going up against Romero at Spurs and bullying him, I don't recall pretty much anything. I think he really, really struggled yesterday.
No, I think the whole system along the front didn't work for me. The wing backs weren't effective. There was no balls coming into the box. Larsson was so deep. He was far too deep. You want him there if he can hold the ball up, but we know that's not really his game. He's never going to do that. You want him in a position where he's making those runs into the box to get on the end of crosses or holding on the edge of the area to get a strike on goal. When he comes deep like that, he doesn't hold the ball up well enough. It's just clearly not his game. But he seemed to be coming deep all the time. Now, whether that's because we wanted Cunha to run past him and Manetsi to sit in the space that's created, I don't know. There was obviously a tactical plan behind it because he was playing deeper than he was for the rest of for the other 5 games that we've played. But it was just a very strange performance from Larsson. He couldn't get in the game. He's ended up picking the ball up just on the halfway line, and he's trying to drive forward, but he ain't got the pace to do that. He's never going to affect it that way. So I didn't like his performance. His work rate was there. His effort was there. He was trying, but positionally, he was just not in a position to affect it. Now, is that because of Cunha? I don't know. But whatever it was, it just didn't work for us. Albeit, we went and got the result. So,
yeah,
collectively, it's worked.
Again, Nocky, I think we can go back to, as I mentioned to Tyler, I think a lot of yesterday's sort of bland football match as a whole, not just Wolves or Man United, came to a lot of people cancelling each other out because it was man for man everywhere and everything was just being completely nullified before it actually became anything other than one free kick, which you can't really do much about that.
No, sorry. My dog's trying to destroy the house.
Greg's comments, so you've got to get that on there.
I
was ticking away. Can't in the Knock household again.
My dog hasn't moved for 3 hours. I took him for a walk just before the show. I thought he'd be nice and relaxed, and now he's like a frigging bulldozer running around the house. What was your question again?
Professional operation.
I know. It's it's a joke, isn't it? What was your question again, son?
Oh, forget about it. As always, the Wolves Report streams out live because it's real opinion, real time, real passion. Sometimes, though, they advise you not to work with children or animals. And here we are, an example why Greg has highlighted that. Anyway,
Greg's thrown me straight under the bus there. And
of the Wolves Report with Mark Knock's family, Mark Knock's dog, the Greyhound Tractor Going House, and myself, Ryan Leicester. We've got a bit of time left. Let's do some questions. Tyler has talked to me for a while talking about this. So, yeah, let's focus on and try and get through all the questions. I think you touched on this earlier on, Tyler, on the panel's opinion in terms of man of the match. I would probably have to agree with that. And I'm not just saying because it's you, Tyler, but of the standouts, I think Totti was pretty much faultless yesterday.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm just with Nokia. I think the midfield two were just imperious. And for me, they're just slightly edging, but there's nothing in it at all. It certainly was. He sort of stepped up a bit yesterday. He was a bit of a leader, I thought Totti was. You know, when he saw his mate wasn't having the best game next to him, he really stepped up and did well. So personally, I'd give it one of the midfield two, but he wasn't far behind at all for me.
Okay.
There's definitely a case for Totti, isn't there? Because he was solid in that area, but I just think the way that Gomes and Andre controlled the midfield and they kept seeing off midfielders that United were throwing at them, for me, they just edged it. But I thought Totti, he's probably Totti's best performance for us. And he looked every bit a quality centre-half. So, yeah, you could give it to either of those three, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the midfield two are just so good every week, but as Totti went above and beyond for an immaculate footballer that is Agbadu that had an off day, I want to give it to Totti as well. Paul, thank you.
To be fair, Ryan, the midfield two are both Brazilian footballers and Totti's a rugby player, isn't he? So if you're doing it on that basis, then you can give it Totti. I'll let you.
Hear that, Nocky? Clean sheet at Old Trafford and he's still not happy.
He gives and he takes away, doesn't
he? He does, mate. All raise the wardrobe falling down the stairs. Anyway, thank you, Paul, for being part of the latest show. Mark asked, this isn't Nocky, by the way, when will we not win a game again? Can't see it before the 26-27 Champions League final. Wow, that would mean we'd won the Premier League, the FA Cup and the League Cup. I'm not sure my body would cope with that. I'll just take one trophy in the next few years I've got left to live, Mark. But yeah, I know it's tongue-in-cheek, but it is nice to be on such a run when you believe your team can beat everybody. Hopefully that carries on against Leicester and then an even bigger test away at Man City. But you never know, this is football. Let's just enjoy these wins. And all of a sudden the podcast is going to be positive every week and people are going to get sick of it. But I'm sure Wolves will change that soon. Mark, thank you for being part of the show. Next up is Jonty. Jonty asks, if we assume Semedo doesn't sign a new deal, should the club be using the remaining games to look at the others in the right wing-back role? Tyler, obviously we've got Rodrigo. Obviously we've got Pedro Lima. So those guys, I mean, I know Rodrigo prefers the left, even though he's right-footed. But those guys, for me, are someone that we should be having a look at. I think they'll be, particularly Rodrigo, will be getting close to it next season.
Yeah, that's the one thing I would like to see. We've got left 5 games. I'd like to see a bit more of Rodrigo Gomes. And I know Lima's sort of struggled a bit with an injury, but if he was fit, I'd like to see more of him. I'd like to see a bit of Boubacar Traoré potentially. I'd like to see some of these players that are sort of potential fringe but could still be with us next season. And yeah, for me, it's not a dissimilar argument to the Kuna one, is it? But Sarabia's probably not going to be here. He's getting game time. I think Vita's just trying to get as many points on the board as he can, isn't he? But to answer the question, if it was me, I would like to see more of Rodrigo and Lima if fit and available, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a ridiculous thing to say. We were just grateful for Steiner, but Tyler, it's £2.5 million a place, finishing 4 places above where we thought. That's an extra £10 million. Now, I'm sure Jeff will be going, well, I want you to play the strongest team because £10 million, isn't it? And that's a lot of money. But I agree with what Jonty says as well. I would like to see Rodrigo get more minutes. I thought he did well away at Leicester when he came in. Obviously, contribute with a goal. I think he's got an incredible engine. I think he's somebody that's better when they start a game as opposed to coming on as a sub. I think he's someone that does better when he starts off. I think he struggles, takes him a little while to get going to the pace of the game. Your take on that, Nocky? You want to see a few of the younger fringe players have a look at, or do we just keep winning and try and get that extra 10 million for Jeff?
It's really difficult, isn't it? I think if we knew we were going to finish 17th, if we hadn't been on this run, I think you're safe. You play everyone, don't you? But there's a little bit of a carrot dangling now, which is going to make them want to go and test it. But for me, I think you need to be playing Rodrigo. I would like to see Pedro Lima get some more minutes, but I'm not sure that Vitor fancies him, to be honest, because even before he got injured, he didn't really get a look in. I think we lose 8-0, and I think we lose Semedo as well. And I'd like to see us playing Rodrigo on that left-hand side, which is where I think he could potentially play, unless he thinks that Hugo Bueno is going to come back into that position and we switch Rodrigo over to the right. Wherever you think he's going to play next season, give him some minutes now just to get a bit more experience in him, because he come on yesterday and he was a little bit nervous, but then when he did settle, he got himself down into a really good crossing position.
He should have squared to the far post, man.
That was
the one negative. He's got to square that for a tap in.
He made the wrong decision, but he's a young man coming on at Old Trafford, and he did everything right to get himself there. He was strong, he was quick, he got into that position, and he made the wrong decision. It happens, doesn't it? It hasn't cost us in the end. But another thing is you want to be taking, someone's mentioned it there, momentum. You want to be taking momentum into next season, because we took the wrong kind of momentum into this season. And look at the situation we ended up in. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Do you want to sacrifice the position we've put ourselves in by maybe playing with things now? Or do you want to start getting a balance for next season? There's a bit of me that thinks if you know that Rodrigo's going to be here and he's going to be a starter, you get him in the team. But it's hard to pick who's still going to be here next season, apart from maybe 3 or 4 that you could probably.
And Nelson's our captain, so how do you just bin him off? Because I kind of want him to stay as well. So yeah, it's a difficult one. And one thing I would say though about Rodrigo is I think Wolves will benefit in terms of the goals for column, because I think he'll make a lot more and score a lot more than Semedo will on that side of the pitch. However, it may make us more vulnerable, because I don't really recall Semedo getting himself in that many positions, because Rodrigo's ridiculous engine, he can find that run, which was fantastic, because it's a great weapon going forward. John T, thank you for being part of the latest Wolves report. Now, a bit of tongue-in-cheek here from Bobby, but mathematically it's still possible. It's not going to happen, but if you think I'm positive, read this question from Bobby. Bobby, given that 11th place may get European football, is it out of the question that we may sneak in? Bobby, I don't see it. Even if we won every game, I don't think that's possible. It would be the most hilarious thing, and my dream would come true of the Conference League, and it would be Tyler's worst nightmare. I want to be in that Conference League. Bobby, it's a question that makes me blush, because not even I'm that positive. But
the fact it's possible, though, with 5 games to go, based on where we expected to be. I mean, up till while O'Neill was here, I was convinced we were going down. The only hope we ever had was to swap him. The fact we're in a conversation where theoretically it's still possible we could finish in Europe, that shows the outstanding job that Vitor's done.
Absolutely mental. On the subject of Gary O'Neill, Steve Cross asks, have you got the humble pie ready for Noki and Tyler? You were steadfast in your belief we'd be okay, and you were proven right.
What would the humble pie be for?
Because you boys were like, we're going down, you're done, you're too positive. And I can't read out all the things that you called me on the group chat when I kept saying 80%. But Steve, thank you for reminding me of that. I've completely forgotten all about it. Steve,
I think you should. Oh, don't get skipping over that. You should caveat that with, we were convinced we were going down while O'Neill was here, but we both said if we could swap managers, we've got half a chance. Granted, I still thought we would probably go down because the damage was done, but we had a bit of hope there. And if O'Neill was still Wolves manager, we wouldn't be out the bottom 3 now.
No, I agree. And we're all going to go and get our 80% tattoos in the summer. It's going to look fantastic. Steve, thank you for being part of the latest show. Here we go. I mean, we've kind of covered this, but I want to get Tastic's one on. Does VP persevere with Manetsi next season, or has he served his purpose for us this season? Again, just finishing off on this, I know we talked about it earlier on, but at the moment, I think it's a bit disrespectful to talk about life without him. Granted, I agree, and I'm with Tyler on this. As the manager says, I want probably a winger and a number 10. I want people who can genuinely run with the ball and open things up. I think we need that. I think when we bring subs on in games late on, you can see we've got that missing bit of pace, or someone that can travel, or can hurt people on a break. Will he be here next season? Yes. Will he be a big part of it? Yes. Does he start? I don't know. But it's hard to be disrespectful to him when Wolves are on their best run in, 40, 50 years? Is it 50 years? It's so, he'll be here next season. Whether he comes on as a finisher, whether he's part of a 3-man midfield or a 10, I don't know. But what I would say is the manager has trusted him, and whatever he's doing has worked, and he's been a massive part because of his running off the ball. Whatever he's done, it's working. I don't understand it, but you know what? It's working, and I respect him for that. Any more on that, you guys?
No, I agree. I think he probably starts next season because he trusts him and he makes us better. But long term, is his solution? I don't know.
I think I know your answer on that, Tyler. Tastic, thank you for being part of this latest episode. 3 of you asked roughly the same question, so I've grouped them together and I've slightly reworded it. Chris Reed, Kev and Dave Short asked, do you think the board will back Vita Pereira or not? I've got my answer on this. I've talked a lot, so Tyler, I want to hear about you on that.
You'd want to say yes, wouldn't you? But unfortunately, history tells us no. Depends what they mean by back. If you're sort of banking on 60 million for Kuna, even if you sell the Deadwood, you're going to get another 30, 40 million. So the club are going to bring in a minimum of £100 million, I'd suggest. If they give him half of that, does that count as backing him? I don't know. If they give him all of it, it depends, doesn't it? So I would like to think they would back him. However, I'm still very nervous about the people that run this football club and the decisions that they make. So I wouldn't put my mortgage on it, shall we say.
Okay.
I think we may be victims of our own success, because do they now look at it and think, well, how much do you actually need now when you're finishing relatively comfortably? On with Tyler, I think we get the 62 million for Cunha. I think we get money for Aït-Nouri. I think we make 100 million plus comfortably, but I also think we lose about 10 players. So is 100 million going to be enough to replace those 10 players that we're going to lose? It's really difficult. We're going to have players like Sarabia who's not going to make us any money, but you would assume he's on 100k plus a week.
90k a week.
So that's, that's money you're bringing back into the coffers. So do you go free transfers?
But equally, he's our bench winner at the moment. He's impacted Ipswich. He's impacted yesterday. We don't have anyone else like that in the squad. So someone like that with that talent must be replaced.
Agreed, but I think what we've also proved is you haven't got to go and throw millions and millions of pounds at a player, have you? I mean, we've spent 35 million on Fabio Silva, which was a disaster, and we've bought in Agbadou for what, 18 million? I think Gomes was about 18 million. Those players are out there if you've got a decent scouting network, and you can go and find them. So the right business, great. I would like to see us in a position where we can replace quality for quality on the bench. We can't always do that in every position. Cunha's going to be hard to replace, because even though we've done okay without him, for these last 5-6 games, he's still a massive loss, because he's the player who's got sort of 14, 15 goals. You don't replace that without spending the money. So it's a big ask. I hope they do. It'd be nice if we could just be in a position where we spend next season just not being in a relegation battle. If that means we're 12th, 13th all season, but never in it.
And a nice cup run, we'll take that.
And a nice cup run, that's progression then, and you can start building. You can't always be reliant on the 3 teams coming up. And it's happened 2 years in a row and they've gone straight back down. It's not going to happen every year. There's going to be one that gets away. So you've got to be careful. But if they're back in, we've got, I think he can do well for us. I think he can take us into mid-table and beyond. But it's just depending on the ambition of the club and where they see us going.
Some great opinions there, as always. My take on this one is I do think they'll back him. I don't think there'll be any more silly amounts of 30 million pound footballers. I think we'll see a handful of 10, 15, 20 million pound signings. And I'm okay with that, because look at the South American market, look at France, look at the business we've done to get players in who have improved us, they've improved themselves, and they're probably going to make a profit as well for the club. So I do think Wolves will back him. And as I think you guys have both mentioned, we're going to probably lose about 10 players. Talking about everybody, obviously Johnson's going to go, Dawson's going, Sarabia, Semedo, likely, Cunha, and then there's the likes of Gedge, who'll probably go as well, Aït-Nouri, and all of a sudden then that's a lot of quality out the squad. So it's not a matter of, for me, do they back him? I think they have to back him, because if not, we'll be down to bare bones. And if you have a tiny Nuno-like squad and you get a couple of injuries, Wolves are going to be in big trouble. So for that reason, and because we're on the crest of a wave, and because there is that Nuno feel with a manager, I do feel that he'll be backed. I feel like he will want some promises under a new contract. Wolves would be foolish not to give him a new deal. But I think with what he's done and how he's proven himself, I think if he went, other Premier League clubs would absolutely snap him up because of the job he's done. But he looks happy. He's out and about. He's going into Wetherspoons. He's having his Guinness, and absolutely good for him. I would as well if I was him. So I do think the club will back him. I'm not sure we'll spend 100 million, but if Wolves bring in 150 million, say 140, 150 million, they might spend 100 million. Why not? Because they probably have to then. So I think they'll back him enough for him to sign a new deal. So whatever that means, financial wise, but I think he'll get the players he wants. I don't think he's going to be expecting to be challenging 5th, 6th or whatever, but I do think 10th plus will be what he's looking at and a cup run for me. But that's my take on that. I think we're all roughly on the same page with that one. Chris, Kev and Dave, thank you for that question. We've almost done an hour and the boys are almost in overtime. Next weekend, Wolverhampton Wanderers face relegated Leicester City. I'm sure we're looking to see Jamie Vardy and making him aware of that. I think he probably already is. But maybe a couple of interesting dilemmas. Tyler, next week, if Doherty's fit, does he come back in after they've kept a clean sheet? Does Sarr come back in if they've kept a clean sheet? Does Bellegarde come back in because he's been so good? I think we have some genuine dilemmas for next weekend, but if they're all fit and back, that's some really positive problems.
I'll bring all three of them back in myself, and rightly or wrongly, Manetsi would be the one to miss out. I'd like to see Bellegarde, Kuna and Strand Larsson as a three.
Particularly against Leicester, yeah. I think that's as far as you can get at. That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, I think Doherty has earned that spot and that's his now, and I think Jose Sarr's our best goalkeeper. So for me, if they're all available, they come back in. Yeah, probably Rodrigo, like we said, the only one I'd probably like to see give him some minutes. I mean, Leicester are relegated. They're awful. It's a free game, isn't it? It's a free hit for both teams, for them as well as us. And I just think I'd like to see him get some minutes. And I think maybe, like I said, I think Boubacar's the other one. I'm not saying start the game, but I'd just like to see the guy maybe given a bit of a run in the team, see what he's got. He may or may not be here next season, but we're relying heavily at the moment on Andre and Gomes. So be interesting to see, if there's a different optional dynamic there as well.
Yeah, Noki, I just think looking at the dynamics of what the manager likes, just going on to Boubacar then, and he's not going to start next week, but he's an interesting one for me. I think he's somebody that fits the mold more than Tommy Doyle. I think Tommy Doyle's a very neat and tidy footballer. I just think he lacks the mobility and physicality that he likes in the midfield too, so I wouldn't be surprised to see more of him. But just going back to next week's game, are you with Tyler? If they're all fit, do they come back in, or do you have a bit more love for Manetsi?
If it was me, I'd take Manetsi out. I don't think there's a chance in hell he will. I think Manetsi plays. It's really hard, isn't it? I mean, you could see Leicester making changes as well because they're going to start planning for next season. They've been relegated now, so are they going to be a little bit more relaxed? They didn't, they did okay against Liverpool. They were quite resolute, quite hard to break down. They sat quite deep as well. So will they do that? And we'll need to try and get a bit of pace and a bit of ingenuity around them to break them down. I would start Rodrigo. I don't think Semedo's been at it for the last few weeks, and I think we know he's going. So for me, I don't really see the point if we think that Rodrigo is a solution. So let's get him some minutes. I can see Bellegarde coming in and Cunha coming out. I can see him doing that, and then stick with Manetsi. I can see him doing it because I know we want to win games, but we know that he's leaving as well. We know that's going to happen. So we have to start planning for life without him. We should be able to beat Leicester City without Matheus Cunha in the team. And if we can't, we've got a bigger problem, haven't we, for next season? So I can see Cunha coming out. But Vitor, I think he'll pick a team that he thinks will win the football match. I don't think he'll be looking too much at what we're going to do next season. I think he wants to get as many wins as he can. And I'd be disappointed if we didn't win that game and extend this run, because out of all the teams we've beaten, this is the one you look at and think we should beat them. And that's no disrespect to them, but they've been relegated for a reason, haven't they? So we should be in a position to win this game. And I think Vitor will want to win it. So he will pick a team to win the game. He won't pick a team based on what's going to happen next season for me.
Yeah, I think Doherty has to come back in. I think Sarr has to come back in.
Yeah, both will come back in. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure he's going to drop Cunha. Cunha was wearing the armband at the end of the game as well, and that says a lot for me. And I'm not really sure how that's happened or if he particularly deserved that. But you know what? He won the free kick that got us the goal. So whatever. He's not going to be a Wolves player for much longer anyway. Currently have 1,131 live views across our platforms. Your support and comments are very much appreciated. If you don't follow us and you like the show, please drop us a like or a follow. It'd be very much appreciated. Also, a thank you to those catching up, especially those on Spotify, where we are continuing to grow ourselves. Gentlemen, prediction time. Tyler, will go with you. Wolverhampton Wanderers v Leicester City. First scorer and correct score, please.
Well, I think I'm on a bit of a roll, aren't I, Ryan? I predicted the win at Old Trafford. And
you're doing all right, mate. Well, I went 1-0 Cunha, so I was close.
Close. Got to beat these, haven't we? I think it'll be a fairly comfortable, routine 2-0 win for Wolves. And I'll go for Strand Larsson.
Oh, I was expecting him to go Marshall Manetsi, then that would have been a dream, mate.
I can't.
It would be so Wolves-like, wouldn't it, to lose this one after being on that run?
Connor Cody 1-0.
You can almost taste it, can't you? I'll go for 2-1. I think it'll be a little bit trickier than we think. I'm going to go for Marshall Manetsi for the first goal.
Okay.
He's got to touch the ball, son, for that to happen.
He's spiteful that is. I'm going to go with 3-0 Wolves. I'm going to go with Marshall Manetsi as well. Why not? This has been episode 128 of the Wolves Report. Thank you so much for Mark Knock and Chris Tyler's input. They had a great day with their boys yesterday, and you can see the joy they brought back to the show today. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Catch you next week. Up the Wolves.